Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where I'm bringing back your EV journey starting today. Now, this one's going to be a fun one for those of you who just watched my latest video, where Mark had flown in from Chicago to pick up Kathy's Model Y, and he drove it back to Chicago. Man, he hit a couple of speed bumps on that trip going back. But what I want to do is I want to talk to Mark not only about the trip back, so it's going to be a specific EV journey, that being going from Connecticut back to Chicago. But I also want to just learn a little bit about Mark's EV journey in general. He's definitely an EV guy, and I think that's going to be an interesting one. So, we're going to be talking today about what's it like to do a private transaction when you buy a Tesla from an individual as opposed to Tesla itself. And also, Mark has experience because the Model Y Performance he bought from a third-party dealer. So we're talking about an experienced Tesla guy now, and we're still working through the transaction in order to get the car into his app, which it is, but it's also in my app as well. So we're in this weird hybrid mode. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's have some fun, and let's talk to Mark. So, Mark, welcome to the channel. Good to see you again. It really was a lot of fun the other day meeting you, and that was New Year's Day, right?
Yeah,
that was good. And I remember when Kathy and I were juicing up the Model Y for the last time, and your plane flew overhead. I was like, boy, this is meant to be. There he is. He's coming in for a landing.
Coming in on American?
He is coming in on American.
That's his flight, right
Where?
there, right through the trees. Just went down.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Gently.
Oh yeah, he just so he is on an American flight. So we just saw him coming in. How cool is that? And listen, I do want to hear about your trip back. And for those of you who've seen the picture on this video, that's a little bit of
that's for real.
That's for real, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Which will be fun, at least for me. It wasn't fun for you, but we'll talk about that. But Mark, tell me a little bit about you in general. I know that you're living out in Oak Brook, Illinois, in that area, and you're driving now. You've got two EVs now, and I just wanted to kind of maybe hear your story quickly about why are you driving EVs, and have you always been fascinated with technology or that kind of stuff?
As they say in England, I'm a petrol head. I've had probably 35 cars, Dave, and I like to go fast. So I've had everything from a 911 to turbo Mustangs to the Lexus LS, which was my absolute favorite car. Had two of those.
You mean the LS that Kyle and my mom?
Exactly the same color and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it white with beige?
Yes.
I think they only made them in white with beige seats.
Yeah, I had the chrome wheels.
You had the chrome.
The only difference.
That's right. That's why you name your cars after rappers, because you've got that, that whole chrome thing.
Oh, we'll get into that. My daughter named it on the way home. But no, that's just kind of been my thing. And back in 2012, when Tesla launched the first product, my financial advisor got one. He was an early adopter. He got a 60, Model S 60. And he let me drive it, and I was impressed with the torque right away, getting off the line. But the range was so bad, and my daily commute, it was 80 miles. And I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot get stuck. I cannot run out of juice. I had the whole range anxiety thing.
Yeah.
So he was riding me, He got
another one way or round trip?
Round trip.
Okay, round trip.
In traffic, and it could be, and I noticed this with my own Model Y, the degradation sitting in traffic, the cold weather, letting the car sit in the parking lot all day. I could see, the battery going down. So I'm glad I waited. So I bought my first Model Y in 2022, Model Y Performance, and it's a 2021 model. It only had 12,000 miles on it, so there was plenty of warranty. I figured I'm covered.
Right.
And the dealer that I bought it from is right up the street. I can walk there. It's 4 houses down. And the guy that runs the dealer used to be the Tesla Chicago store general manager. So he knew what he was doing, and this was when the EVs were blowing up. He was selling everything, not just Tesla, but every EV. So he made me feel real comfortable. And actually, I met his father. His father's a big dealer here in town. And I had a picture of myself and my son in his father's office before he passed. So I felt like, I give it a try. But I got to tell you, I way overpaid for that car. And the one I
Well, who
bought
didn't
from
back
you,
then,
I
right?
know,
I mean,
and he knew it. He knew he had me.
yeah,
But at the time, I was driving a Lexus LS, and I was putting in, $100 a week for fuel and about $400 a month in repair. So
right,
I said, you know what? It can't be any more expensive than that.
right.
Even though it made great sound and it was very comfortable. So my wife said, yeah, it's time, go get one. But what she didn't know is, the performance. Why did you have to get the performance? I said, oh, it has a better range, honey. Don't worry about it. But we quickly got addicted to the torque.
Right.
Just, at least for me, I can't get enough of it. But
And
when
what
my
about the
daughter,
regen? Did you like the regen too?
I have it set on roll because
Oh, wow.
in traffic, when you're wide pedal driving, which we get a lot of here in Chicago, it was great because I never had to hit the brake.
Yeah.
And it seemed like I was always between gas and stop and gas and stop. So I figured that out real quick. Okay, this is not as taxing on me as, moving
Yeah.
your feet over and everything. And the second thing I really enjoyed was the stereo. And that's where the Snoop Dogg came in, because when I got off work after 10 hours at the shop, that's the first thing I did was turn up some rap and get in the Tesla and hammer it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
Yeah.
guessed that after meeting you and hanging out with you. Absolutely, you're a rap guy. Sure. Why
It's
not?
just, I'm Southside Chicago. That's kind of what you
Southside
grow up
Chicago.
with.
All right.
Yeah. So for Kathy's Model Y, as everybody knows, it's white. And my daughter, we got about 4 hours away from you that day, and we were watching something in the evening. SVU, Law and Order SVU, and Ice-T was on there. So
Right.
she thought it was a great play on words, because ICE for the white Model Y and T for Tesla.
Right.
Ice-T also happened to be a rapper, so it kind of fit both of us.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
He's a good actor too. I like that guy. He's really
I
good.
think he's been on that show longer than he did music.
Yeah, I think you're
Was-
right. I think you're right.
So yeah, and now that we have identical Model Ys, my son drives a brand new Land Cruiser, so I'm not opposed to ICE vehicles. His is a hybrid, a fantastic car. We just took that to Florida and back
Right.
about 3 months ago, and then we have the RAV4, the dog car. So we have 4 right now, and I don't know if we'll be keeping the dog car, but for now, we have a fleet.
Right. So you took off from Connecticut and Greenwich, because we drove over the border over by the
Paul Tudor Jones.
Yeah, Tudor Jones old headquarters, and that was actually a great spot to be able to do the transaction and all of that. And one of the challenges that I think it is when someone flies in to buy a car from a private seller is how do you get the car home, right? And how does the transaction work? Now, we had a small loan on Kathy's car that we had to pay off. You were ready to take delivery of the car before Christmas, but we wanted to wait for the title. And so I paid off the loan, and we were down in Florida, and I remember checking the mail when I got back from Florida. I was
You sent me a picture.
immediately texted you. I said, all right, we got the title. It's game on. You can come whenever you want. And you were like, that was Monday. And you're like, how about Wednesday? So you booked the flight right away. But, part of the logistics of getting a car home is like, how do you get a temporary plate? How do you, like if you buy a car from a dealership, right? Let's say a pre-owned used car dealer, you fly into Connecticut, they're going to give you a 30-day temp tag. And whether or not they make arrangements for getting the car registered in your home state, or whether they just give you the temp tag and you do it yourself, I don't have that ability to do that. As many car transactions as I've done, I probably should have that ability, but I don't. So what did we do to work things out?
That was going to be the hard part for me. I was a little worried about driving home without a tag on the back, 800 miles. So as people might remember from the first video, Dave let me use his Kathy's license plate on the back. I had it insured under my name. I gave Dave a bank check, so there wasn't any concern about the funds. But there is some, is this going to work out? And the one nice thing that Dave offered to me, which, if you're in this boat and you're going out of town to buy a car, he said, if you don't like it, you can turn around and get on the plane and go home.
Yeah.
So, there's always that, but you're so amped up. We were up since 5 a.m. The flight left at 8. You're like, no, we're taking this car home. We got to go. But that's the issue is it's not what it is intended. You did give me the VIN number. I pulled the Carfax. Carfax was clean.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any other history I could see. And that's one thing that Tesla doesn't do very well. They don't report any of that to Carfax on a private transaction. Even on my current Model Y Performance, I didn't get anything. I got a Carfax, but Carfax was clean.
Yeah.
And I didn't get any service history on it. So I was kind of going blind, but I relied on the warranty from Tesla to help me out.
The good news is because we put our lives out there on YouTube.
Yeah, I felt like I knew the car.
You've seen everything that's happened with Kathy's car in real time, with everything. But it brings up a good point, because if you as a buyer don't really know the seller, like you kind of felt like you knew me in the sense that you were able to see all the videos. But if you're buying a car from a third-party dealer and you try to get the repair history from Tesla on that car, Tesla won't give it to you until you're the registered owner of that car. And that's sort of a catch-22. What did you do when you were buying your Model Y Performance from the local dealer? How did you find out what perhaps, did the car have the original battery? Was there anything from a history standpoint from Tesla? Were you able to get the history of that car?
No, not from Tesla.
From Tesla.
The dealer helped me out, and he kind of showed me behind the scenes what he used to buy the car, because he bought it wholesale, no question about it. And Carfax was clean, and there was lots of warranty. So I figured even if it had a battery replacement, I have 3 years of warranty. I'll just work with that, directly with Tesla.
Yeah. One sort of word of advice is that if you do go to a Tesla service center, and I'm not saying they will all do this, but I have had situations where Tesla service advisors, if you give them a VIN number and you say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about buying this car, they won't print out anything for you, but they can look at the history of the car, and they can verbally tell you, or they have verbally told me in the past. Now, I don't know if that's because they know me at the local Tesla showrooms, or if that's a policy that they just won't give you anything, but it's worth a shot. At least be nice to them and say, listen, I'm thinking about buying this car. Before I do, I've run the Carfax, but is there anything that I should be watching out for?
That's a good point, and you need to do it in person.
Yeah, in person, absolutely.
And wait them out, be friendly, because a lot of this stuff, you're right, they're just standing there in front of the lap, in front of the tablet, and you can see their face. If it's bad, you're going to be able to see it.
I mean,
but you have to do it in person.
Yeah, you don't want to put any of them in a bad situation where they're giving you a piece of information they shouldn't give you. But I remember one time I was, I can't remember which time, but I was thinking about buying some of the inventory cars, and there was a pretty good deal on an inventory car, but the inventory car said that it had a brand new battery, and that was weird to me. I didn't understand that. And so the car was at Mount Kisco, and the guys at Mount Kisco, they couldn't really tell me why it had a brand new battery, but the fact that it did have a brand new battery, and it was only $500 less than the other, let's say, inventory cars that were maybe $1,000 more. And quite honestly, at that point in time, I don't remember when it was, a brand new one was only like a couple of grand more. They're like, Dave, do yourself a favor and just buy the new one. Don't worry about, like, what are you going to save, $1,000 or $1,500? And even though, if the car has a brand new battery. So anyway, so back on track here, because you were able to drive the car home with our plates. You had insurance on the car. We also kept insurance on the car until the car got into your garage, when you called me up and said, okay, Dave, the car's safe now, and I'm not driving it until I get it registered. But in effect, the car was completely yours from the moment that you left Connecticut with the when we signed the bill of sale. But I just felt, I think we both felt that at least now there was double insurance.
And that's what they say, that you're supposed to be able to show them your bill of sale. The
Yeah.
police officer. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get pulled over every hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, like, if something were to happen and you were to get pulled over for whatever, blowing a stop sign or speeding, I just said, just show them, Kathy's insurance card and registration to keep things simple, because, if you start going down the path of oh, well, here, I'm driving it on a Connecticut plate that's not valid technically, because you're asking for a mess. So the car was still very much registered in Kathy's name. But, if God forbid you got into an accident or something like that, that's where we had the double insurance there, where, things would work out. But anyway, the point to everyone who's watching this podcast is, the more that you can get to know a person, and have the conversations before you actually get on a plane and fly in, it's a really good thing. If you're buying a car off of eBay, from a private seller, one of the things I really like about eBay is, and I've used this many times, is that you're able to read the reviews of people that give feedback from a social media standpoint. So, all right. So anyway, use your heads when you're buying a car from a private seller. And so now you start off, you're on your way. And of course you get hungry. So you want to go to Taco Bell or Burger King.
Taco Bell in Jersey. So that was an experience.
Right.
And we went to a Stop and Save or Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
And that was an experience.
Yes.
So we got all of our road food and water and, got ready for the trip. And then there happened to be a Taco Bell at the bottom of the parking lot. So
that's great.
Yeah, we had some of that.
Sounds like a perfect stop, And I mean, listen, if you were going to name a grocery store something, wouldn't you name it Stop and Shop?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's like, it's
the Walmart was right across the street and it was closed. So that was another issue. It was New Year's Day.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was New Year's Day.
Yeah. And even the people that were working didn't want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. So what happened then? I remember. Oh, I know what happened. I don't know.
I think your phone blew up. The car called you.
I got a message on my phone that one of the tires was losing air
rapidly.
And
so that was in Bloomsburg, PA, about 3 hours away from you. And by the way, the Tesla screen lit up like a candle as well, letting me know, you got a tire going down. So I quickly went into the service mode and we watched it go from 40 to 3 in less than a minute.
Wow.
So we got off to the side of the road, which still in all, that's a very high speed, 70 mile an hour posted highway.
It's Route 80, right?
Yeah. And the tire was gone. Whatever I hit just slashed the center of the tire, and there was no way it was going to take air. So we got over to the right as far as we could, and we started talking to Tesla Roadside Service, believe it or not. And I had a good conversation with them. It was all text, so I wasn't really sure it was legit. So while I'm talking to them, my daughter was looking on her phone for towing companies and tire guys, and there's where the problem was. It was around 6 o'clock on New Year's Day,
right? And
nobody was picking up. And the guy that did pick up, he had he was young. So he said, "Hey, where are you?" And I said, I'm at exit 235. And he goes, "Are you have an iPhone?" I said, "Yeah." "Why?" He goes, "Send me your location. Send me a pin. Drop me a pin."
That's cool. Right.
Yeah. So 30 minutes later, he's right behind us. So that was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Cook's Towing. I'll give a shout out.
Roadside Assistance, or something that Jessica did?
Jessica found Roadside. Jessica found the guy that saved us. Roadside kind of hung up on us and said, "Well, we don't have any of our local providers that are picking up. Call 911.
Oh, my goodness.
So say again? So, by then we'd already been sitting there an hour, and we went with this guy because I spoke to him on the phone. He said, "I'll be there. Here's how fast I can be there. Send me drop me a pin. I'll be there even faster."
Right.
Okay. So The roadside thing I just let sit until today, and I'll tell you that part of the story in a second.
Okay.
So we're right there at 235, and the four ways on a Tesla are pretty bright. And right in front of me, it's blinking on a Marriott. So we called them. And I said, do you
You
have a
mean like
room?
a sign for the
Yes,
Marriott?
this exit. Get
Oh,
off
that's
here.
beautiful. That's
Fairfield Marriott.
advertising right there.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, we'll be there. Here's the problem. I had a blowout. I don't have anywhere to go. I can't get a tire. I need a room. So I had the tow truck driver tow us to the Marriott. And we plugged in at the Marriott because, oh, by the way, I was like 7% charge.
Right.
So I said, just drop it there. And I plugged it in. He goes, you're going to need another tow tomorrow. I said, I will. So, I'll call you in the morning and come back and get me after I find a tire shop, because nobody has an EV tire in rural Pennsylvania on New Year's Day.
Right.
So about 5 calls later, and I did start with Walmart, and they just didn't have it. So I said, who do you compete with? Maybe you can just do me a solid here and tell me who to call. Steve Shannon Tire Company. I'm giving him a shout out because those guys hooked me up. He had one.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we called
A Continental OEM tire.
Exactly the same, Dave.
Right.
Exactly the same.
That's great.
So the tow truck driver got us again, put us on a different truck, took us to the tire shop. And then Steve Shannon hooked us up with the tire, and he showed me the one that was blown, and the cut was so bad. He said, I'm not patching that. You got a long way to go. You need a new tire, which, I believed him. I said, do you have two? I'll buy the other one. I'll put it in the trunk. He said, no, I just have the one.
Just had the one. Oh, wow.
So here I am again, driving without a spare. He said, don't use Fix-A-Flat in these tires, in these EV tires either, because of the foam. The foam clogs up the spray, and it will be out of round the whole time. So I'm thinking, okay, that was my plan B, so we left again. But it cost us probably a day off the road, that first night, and then a half a day in the morning to put the tire back.
So this really brings into question, not just EVs, but a lot of cars today. They just don't come with spare tires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when I had my Lucid, I had a modern spare tire.
I have
that
one.
Actually fit, believe it or not, in the frunk, and it was perfect. That I kept it in there. And I'm not sure that's the best spot for it, just because of you want the crush zone, from if God forbid you get into a bad accident and head on, but it sure was a lot of peace of mind because we did a lot of road tripping with that car. But it makes a lot of sense to get and carry a spare tire, because what a pain if you're on the side of the road and you can't do a repair. What do you do, especially on New Year's Day, right? I mean, it's
in a very odd sized tire, right? It's a very specific tire.
Yeah.
But in my own Model Y Performance, I have the modern spare, the jack, the lugs, everything. So that's why I was asking you the other day. I'll buy another one for Ice-T, and they are so big, guys. The tire itself is so big, it will only fit in the back. And when you put it in there, you have consumed almost all of the hatch space, because it won't fit under the hatch. You have to put it on top. But there's just no way you can drive one of these without a spare.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I do a lot of road tripping without it. I mean, think about it. We drove all those cars across country, right? From Seattle to Boston. We didn't get, wait, let me think about it. Did we? No one got flats, but it's just, I was like, okay, there goes Mark, there's Jessica. They're going to be home fine. Next thing I know, get this message on my phone. And the weirdest thing was, after I got the message on the phone, all of a sudden I got a message that Junebug was charging. And I said, oh, that's great. He must have gotten a tire, driven to a supercharger. What I didn't look at was how the speed you were charging.
Oh, it took all night. All night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just left it there.
So the rest of the trip, once you got the tire done, Steve Shannon, right? He's the man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out for sure. But do you mind if I ask what it cost you for the tow and for the tire and all that?
Yeah. Again, you're on the side of the road with your daughter. You got to get off the side of the road. You got to
Yeah.
do what you got to do. So that night it was 265 because again it was late. It was New Year's Day. I'm like, "Are you coming?" I didn't even ask him. So
Right.
that was to the Marriott, and then the next day, from the Marriott to Steve Shannon, it was $100
Okay.
because he's like, "I just saw you last night.
That's
Give me a courtesy tow or whatever," and I was
Right.
fine with that. So let's.
Was it a flatbed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he
We drove it up.
He knew how to put it, to put
No,
the car.
no, they had never driven an EV before.
So what are the tricks? What did you learn by flatbedding an EV? What do you have to do? I have done it a couple times.
There's a tow button in the service mode,
That's
which
right.
allows the wheels to flow freely. But we just drove it up. We
you
drove
just drove,
it on its power, yeah, and then
Right.
wheeled it back off. So today is Monday the 6th, and I picked up the phone and I called Tesla Roadside, and I just wanted to say, hey, this wasn't a great experience, and
Right.
did I do that right? I mean, a person hung up with me. You know who picked up the phone?
Who?
The guy that was texting me on New Year's Day. What is the luck of that? So, long story short, he said, "Do you have the receipt? It's likely that we'll cover you. We'll send you an email." And he checked my identity as well. He sent me a 6-digit code, blah blah blah, and he could tell it was legit because he's reading his own text to me from the other day.
That's a big company too. Wow, that's good.
That's why I want to say it ended.
Where was the guy located? Was he a Vegas?
He must have
guy?
been in San Jose.
San Jose. Okay.
Yeah. So we turned in the receipt, and hopefully I get reimbursed from Tesla for the 265, and the other one I'll just eat it. But
Yeah.
I was impressed that first of all, they said we'll give you one tow, and wherever it is, we're going to drop it, and that's it. It's on you. But if you're 50 miles to a Tesla service center, we'll tow you to the Tesla service center, and we'll fix it for you.
Huh.
Okay, so Jessica's looking on her phone, and we were 2 hours from a Tesla service center.
Right.
So that's why we ended up going to the Marriott. And I was teasing a little bit, but we were trying to make lemonade. We were on the side of the road. We've been up since 5 a.m.
I know.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't care what it takes. Oh, they have a charger? Plug it in.
Yeah.
So that's as good as we can.
Mark, I gotta tell you though, obviously, just getting to know you even more, but you were so calm, cool, and collected, and you know what? You just went with it, and I was Kathy and I both said, "Wow, what a nice guy," and how much better off? Because getting upset, what's that going to do, right?
You can't yell at these people. I'm asking them to help me.
Yeah. So how was the meal at the Marriott? That's what I want to know.
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats.
Which my daughter, saved the day as well. And we got some Ruby Tuesday. It was fine.
Well, that's good. That's all right.
Fine.
So this is a daddy-daughter adventure that you guys will never
all the way through. And that's where we were watching, Law and Order SVU. We saw Ice-T, and it was clicking like, oh no, this is it. This is what we're going to name it right here.
Right.
So the facility was fantastic. It was beautiful. Great breakfast in the morning. Oh, and then I didn't have my charger cord, and the car was dead, so I couldn't charge my phone. And my daughter and I don't have the same phone connection.
Oh, I see.
So one of the server ladies let me use her phone and a brick, and it was like, that's how it's supposed to be.
So shout out to Marriott too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I took his card, so I'm going to do them a solid and send them a thank you for that.
Right.
They didn't have to do all that.
Right.
So they made sure that we got out of there. It gave us a later checkout. All the things. It was like, this is meant to be.
Right.
So you couldn't fight it. The harder you push, the more it pushed back on me. So you got a tire. I'll wait my turn. He goes, oh no, we're going to bring you right in. It still took 2 hours. Right. And the tire was $350. So that little deal there was $700.
Yeah.
Because of the hotel.
Yeah.
But you can't. I told you when we picked it up. It was one of those daddy-daughter opportunities. So
right. Hey, you know what? You just froze there for a second. Hold on one second.
It's live back on my side.
Okay, there we go. Okay, good. Yeah. So, wow. So the cost of the car was not the cost of the car. You had airline tickets, you had hotel, you had towing and a new tire and all of that. But you know what? At least you got a nice car there. Tell me about your experience, the difference between the Model Y all-wheel drive 2023 versus your 2021 performance?
Certainly the ride quality is a lot nicer in the white one in the 2023. The Model Y performance will beat you to death. And I don't know how we would have done 800 miles in that thing. It is faster, no question about it, but I'm used to it. We rode the whole way home in chill mode in the Model Y, the white one. And then I texted you a couple times because I was having trouble with full self-driving. It's very aggressive right out of the box, way too aggressive for me, having never used it before. And then the truck traffic and the 2-lane road and the snow, I'm like, oh no, that's too much lane changing. I don't like that. So then we dialed it down to chill on full self-driving and chill on acceleration, and then it was no problem at all. So I would say I only did about 100 miles with my hands on the wheel, and that helped. That it was more relaxing when I could talk to Jessica, or we could have something to eat in the car, and every 2 hours we were stopping to charge anyway. So I said, let's see if it'll take us home, and that thing is so accurate.
Yeah.
The time is very accurate to, when you're going to need a charge and how long it's going to take you. It's very accurate. You can really rely on it.
It's good to hear. Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, the other difference I have, the sensors, the white one has the cameras. So it does not like snow squalls. Oh my gosh. It comes to a rapid stop when you're in full self-driving. It does not like not being able to see. And once I figured out where the cameras were getting dirty, we were trying to keep them clean, and it helped quite a bit. But we ran into a whiteout in Toledo, and again, we just stopped for the night, found another Marriott, and that's where we had a good steak at Logan's or something like that. But it didn't matter. We're together.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just like it's an oasis.
That's great.
Wow, real food. Let's go there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is good. That is real good. But well, listen, Mark, I think this overall, what a great transaction, first of all, and thank you for reaching out and I'm real excited to know that the car's got a good home. What's interesting is when I look in my app now, I see the car is no longer called Junebug. It's called Jib.
Yes.
And all I could think of when you were talking about the old car, your Model Y performance was Snoop Dogg, and you were thinking about naming the next one Tupac.
Yep.
I was like, did he name his car Justin Bieber? Justin Bieber. Like, I'm thinking JIB is Justin Bieber. And then I remember you said no, because you had texted me, you wanted to call it Ice-T. I was like, that's the perfect name. That's awesome.
Yeah, Ice-T.
So what is this Jib?
So when I'm on my Tesla app, and it walks you right through the steps, that was really good too. Did you purchase a car? Yes. Where did you get it? Private party? Yes. And then you have to answer some questions, obviously the serial number and all that jazz. And then it says, would you like to add this to your product? I didn't even know what a product folder was, but it's basically all of the Teslas that you have on your app.
Right.
So now I can see, of course, Snoop, and I can see Kathy's Model Y, which Tesla sent. They're testing my identity. So they sent me a temporary name, and that's the name they gave me, Jib, J-I-B.
Okay.
And then they said, go out in your Wi-Fi and connect the car to your Wi-Fi, which I did, and they tested it again. And they sent me a 6-digit code via the Wi-Fi in my garage. So I had to send that back, and they said, okay, you passed. Go to the next step. The next step is we need a copy of your driver's license, front and back, a picture, front and back of the bill of sale, and send that in as an attachment. Again, this is the private party rules. I don't know what the rules would be. Yeah, probably even more. And it could take 3 to 5 business days. So then you said you had already received a notice from Tesla asking if it's okay to let it go. I
got an email from them. Maybe it wasn't an email. Maybe it was in the app.
It should be in the app.
Yeah, I think it was in the app, and it said that it was. I can't remember, but it basically said, "Did you sell the car?" And to this guy, to this person, and I said, "Yes, I did," but the car is still in my phone.
And mine.
And yours.
Yeah. And I think the reason the weird thing is it's renamed. It's the temporary name in my product folder.
Right.
but I'm using my phone on your invite the day that I took the car.
Okay. Right.
I
So
do
so
not
you're
want to
using
let go of
phone
that.
key as an app, phone key
Right.
as an app. Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have to use the card key. So I'm leaving it there until maybe another day, and I'll start reaching out to Tesla. Hey, what's the holdup? Do I have to let go of Dave's invite first before it comes to me? Maybe
Maybe
that's
that's what
what
it
it
is.
is, because I can use the car and Jessica can use the car, no problem. And I
Right.
don't want to jazz that up.
Yeah, without using those key cards. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, wow. Well, listen, you know what? You learn something new every day, and it sounds like Tesla has their protocols and processes down.
Yeah, for
It's
both
just
of us,
yeah,
buyer and
for both
seller.
of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
but it's not quick. It takes a while.
No,
And
because I didn't even start that process till I was home. So that you're talking about Saturday, and I left you on Wednesday.
right,
So I was just driving on your key for 3 days.
yeah,
All fine. It unlocked and drove every day. But yeah,
yeah.
I had to.
Well, I just so you know, I did notice at one point when I looked down that you were listening to Yacht Rock Radio. So I
Indeed.
just must say that, Sail Away, Come Sail Away, or whatever song was on. And
Christopher Cross sailing.
yeah, Christopher Cross. So I definitely had that song in my brain as well. But listen, Mark, this is great. It's congratulations again for getting the car and and that you sent me a text of you holding the dog. How was that the dog? Did you open it up and put it in
Yeah.
the car yet?
hmm The thing is, so it's a hammock. Essentially, it's a dog hammock. It hooks onto the headrest in the back and the headrest in the front seat.
Okay.
And I don't know, your dog is smaller, but we have two really big collies, and they did not like. They like to go into the footwell and get onto the seat, and this thing creates, sort of a hammock.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to let the front down, and then it covers the seat and the
It'll
door
protect the
cards.
seat, right?
But they gave me the door cards as well, so you get these flaps that cover the doors and the
Okay.
seat. I have a WeatherTech mat in my personal car, and it's not as big, so there's always hair. I think this one will be nicer because it's so much bigger and it
Okay.
covers more area, and the slobber and stuff from the doors because they're always looking out the window.
Out the windows, yeah.
So yeah, that was very nice of you, and it will work. But for those people that are on the fence, I think it's a better one. The two that I've seen, this is a better one from Tesla.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Any words of advice for those people before we end the video that are thinking about buying a Tesla from a private party?
I wouldn't be afraid. First of all, the Tesla, it is what it is. I mean, we were joking about the paint colors being a little off, but I expected that, and that's not why I bought it. I bought
Like
it
the
because
bumper versus
yeah,
yeah.
the two-tone white.
Yeah.
I bought it because I knew you owned it, and I knew you took care of it, and you're not out to cheat anybody.
No.
So for me, you need to try to develop a relationship with the seller and find out a little bit about them, because the car is the car. Tesla will take care of the car, but you don't know. I mean, I asked you if you smoked in the car, all these things, guys. You got to ask these questions before you get there, because if there's a funky smell, you're stuck.
Right.
Now you're 800 miles away, and you pretty much got to take it.
Yeah.
So it's the same as any other car, but the fact that
one thing, as much as we got to know each other before you flew out, I think we both said, well, maybe you could drive the car home even if I don't have the title yet, and we both said, you know what, as much as we're getting along, let's just keep there's friends and there's business, right? So let's keep them separate, and let's wait for the title. That way I signed the title. Actually, Kathy signed the title for her car.
It was in her name.
Which was it's her car. It's just that she's not going to be selling her car. I'm doing all the transactions. So, but just be careful no matter who you deal with. Even when you're dealing with me, make sure that you get the title. Make sure it's legitimate. Make sure that the title shows that if there was a lien, that the lien
it's been satisfied.
It has to be stamped by the bank. In my case, it was Chase Bank. And just be careful out there. But Well, listen, Mark, thanks again for taking time. I appreciate it. This has been nothing other than a pleasure dealing with you. And when I saw that text come over on the app that you were going flat, I was like, oh no, I felt so bad. We both felt terrible. But your attitude, man, I'm telling you, people, we all got to be more like Mark, because I don't know, if you get fired up, I don't, maybe you do. I mean, I do. I get fired up once in a while. I try to stay calm, keep a positive attitude as well. I think I lost you, Mark. I just got a text from Mark. His laptop battery died. So guess what? This is the end of the video. Hold on, wait, here's Mark. All right, Mark, we're going to end the video right here on the phone. Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Well, Mark,
All right, Tesla.
Yeah, no, listen, thanks for taking the time out. I appreciate this. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay, my friend. Let's
All right.
maybe in the next couple of days, my Junebug or Jib or whatever the heck it's called is gonna be out of my app, and I won't be able to monitor your listening to Yacht Rock Radio anymore.
Hey, when you're by yourself, you got to get into the zone.
I know, I get it. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.